And now, Bob Grant.
WABC, New York.
All right, let's be heard. Good afternoon, everyone. The telephone lines are open. The number to call from Connecticut, 203-862-WABC. From New Jersey, 201-489-WABC. From New York or anywhere else, 563-WABC, area code 212. And what is on your mind this afternoon? Well, where do we begin? I must tell you, it is good to be back. Some people might say, they always say that. No, I don't always say that, except when it's true, and it's always true. But the fact of the matter is, you can be on a cruise ship just so long, and then you get spilkes. You say, hey, I can't eat anymore. I mean, what is there to do on a ship? Just eat. And after a while, it gets a little tiring, but that isn't why I returned early. I returned early because I didn't want to be away longer than need be. As far as the Panama Canal is concerned, it is a magnificent achievement. And if you don't mind spending many days at sea to go to see it, it certainly is well worth it. I want to comment on the island of Curacao briefly. That was the island that I flew to Miami from. And Curacao stands alone from so many of the other islands in the Caribbean. Curacao is a magnificent place. The people are industrious. No graffiti. We asked the cab driver about graffiti, why there wasn't any. He said, people just don't do it. Well, are the laws that strict? Well, we don't know about the laws because people just don't do it. Spotless. So if you insist on going to an island in the Caribbean, make it Curacao. And I say this in spite of the fact that the government there is operating an extortion racket. You know what that is? $10 per person departure tax. I don't get that, a departure tax. If you don't pay the departure tax, what does it mean? You can't depart? You have to stay there in perpetuity, sitting in the airport? Someday somebody will have to test that out. Don't pay the departure tax and see if that means you cannot depart. Ladies and gentlemen, I look at the newspapers, perusing, trying to catch up with what has happened in this brief time away. And I see quite correctly that several of our newspapers have called Jeffrey Dahmer just what he was, a monster, an absolute monster. A mutation. You look up the word mutation or mutant, and you will see that this indicates that this was originally to have been a human being, but something, we don't know what, but something caused a mutation to change an erstwhile human being into a predator, into a monster who murdered, who cannibalized, who tortured, who sodomized 17 human beings. And the prisoners who did this to Dahmer, bashed his skull in, should be given time off for good behavior. And anybody who sits behind this microphone and laments the fact that this happened to Dahmer and says that the state of Wisconsin should have paid extra money to have him protected, that person is not playing with a full deck. If anybody said that, I doubt anybody would be so bereft of his senses that he would say that. Now, the fact of the matter is, the state of Wisconsin does not have a death penalty law. I'm sure you probably know that. And I don't shrink from saluting the person or persons who did away with this monster. Matter of fact, he was called monster by 2 or 3 newspapers here in the city and around the country because that's what he was. Well, there's a great deal to talk about, and I don't want to take up too much time with any opening remarks. But I do want to give you a little quiz. Very simple, very brief quiz. In an interview last week, a prominent political figure was talking about his high priority, to use his words, 100-day plan, and how we start doing it. Now, let me emphasize, this is a well-known political figure. That's the only hint I will give you. Here is what this political figure said about welfare. And I'm quoting this gentleman. Somebody from the GOP has talked about how the welfare system has enslaved the recipients. I agree with that. So you won't find me saying government ought to have some control over you. I would say for people like that, if they want the government to take care of their children, I would be for something like Norplant, mandatory Norplant. Continuing to quote this gentleman, if you ask the government to take care of those who already have, and you've had 5 or 6 children or some number, whatever they decide, and you want the government to continue to take care of you and those that may be coming, then I think the government ought to impose that on it. Now, if you don't want the government in your business, then you, the fax that has been sent to me by an individual who sent this in, we must have a very cheap machine or something, because it's just, doesn't read too well. If you ask the government to take care of those you already have, and you've had 5 or 6 children or some number, whatever they decide, and you want the government to continue to take care of you and those that may be coming, then I think the government ought to impose that on it. Now, if you don't want the government in your business, then you don't have to ask the government for any money. Here's what this political figure said on teenage pregnancy. Quote, "This is really a community problem in the sense that it's a value system problem where young ladies feel, for whatever reason, they want to get pregnant. Some of them get pregnant deliberately, and they just want to have a baby for a lot of psychological reasons. The second part of the pregnancy situation is young ladies or young men refuse to use any kind of contraceptive. They just don't believe in it. It messes up the feeling, and those are the crazy kinds of things you hear." Now, here's what he said about sexual behavior. "Now, I'm a strong church person. I go to," and then he names the church, "and I believe strongly in God, believe strongly in values and morals, but the reality is that young people are going to engage in sex whether we like it or not. There's a view put forth by Dick Gregory and others that all these hormones that are in chickens and other things are being passed on to these young people, and therefore their hormonal thing is higher than ever before. Ever heard of that theory? Well, Dick Gregory said that these produced chickens and beef are filled with so many hormones that the hormones are passed on to the food in their bodies. Well, that's why young people are growing bigger now. That's why young ladies are more developed. You see somebody who is 12 years old now is physically developed as some 18 or 19-year-olds. Well, whatever's causing it, you've got the hormonal drive, the sex drive, and you've got these young people with all of this, and so forth and so on. At any rate, he calls for what amounts to the Bob Grant Mandatory Sterilization Act, among other things. These are just highlights of some of the comments he made in an interview with a correspondent representing a prominent national publication. Does anybody have any idea who I'm quoting? I did give the Connecticut number, did I not? 203-862-WABC. I believe I did. All right, nobody there, so let's try Sharon checking in on the line from her car. Yes, Sharon.
Yes, I'm guessing Louis Farrakhan.
No, good guess, but that was not Louis Farrakhan who made those statements. No, ma'am.
Oh, by the way, what happened to Dan Quayle? I understand he's ill.
Dan Quayle?
Yes. I just caught the tail end of something. Is he ill?
Not that I know of.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, thank you.
Jerry Rubin, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the hippie who helped give 1960s anti-war protests their zany air and became a symbol of his generation's conversion to yuppie capitalism in the 1980s. He actually, he died 2 weeks after being hit by a car while jaywalking. Jerry Rubin, 56 years of age. Now, the lady just asked about Dan Quayle. Doctors are said to be, quote, very optimistic about Dan Quayle's condition. In Indianapolis, University Hospital spokesman Pam Perry says the former vice president is progressing very nicely. Those are her words. Quayle was admitted last night for treatment of a blood clot in one lung after experiencing shortness of breath. Perry says doctors are using blood thinners to dissolve the clot. She says they expect Quayle to recover completely, but that he'll probably remain in the hospital for about a week. Now, the former vice president was expected to announce a run for the White House soon, but a woman who heads his political action committee says it's uncertain when he'll be able to resume his schedule, but that it shouldn't affect his political future. So, in answer to the lady's question about Dan Quayle, there it is. Okay. Joseph, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hi, Bob. Welcome back. And I'd like to congratulate, first of all, Governor-elect Pataki and Mayor Giuliani for their meeting, and I hope it'll be a beginning of a long-term relationship. I'd like to ask you, what do you think, if term limits are passed through a constitutional amendment or otherwise, do you think it'll hurt Republicans more than Democrats?
I think it'll hurt the American people. I don't care about political parties. I care about the American people. And I think the concept just rubs me the wrong way. And I am about the only Republican around, I'm sure there are a couple of others, who was against term limits even before the great Republican victory of November 8th. Mm-hmm. So nobody can say, oh, you just say you're against it now because your guys are in. No, I was against it when my guys were out and didn't seem to have a chance of getting in.
But right now, if it is passed, would it hurt Republicans?
I don't think that really is a question to entertain, because it's not going to have an impact on either party greater than the other party. The fact that the Republicans have a majority in the Senate and the House really, I don't think, enters into it.
Okay, thank you.
On WABC, here's John checking in. Hello, John.
Hey, John. Hi, Bob. How are you today? I'm from New Jersey. I guess I'm in the city calling you today, but I've wanted to call you for so long. I guess I'm a little nervous here, so bear with me if you would. I guess I've been listening to your show, all the way back years ago when you were on MCA, and I find more often than not, I find myself in agreement with most of your points of view. And I guess I just, the recent articles in the New Yorker and the references in the Times with respect to you and Governor Whitman, I guess it finally crystallized something in my head, and I wanted to pose this to you and see what your thoughts were. Do you think that the reason that most of the media are against you, or a lot of the media are against you, do you think it's basically because of your point of view, which I find myself more often than not in agreement with, or because in some instances, I don't know, I just wonder, do you think like using I forget the term you called Governor Cuomo, but, the sort of the personal invective, do you think that's what really kind of takes it too far, and then that causes them to kind of jump on you?
You amaze me, John.
All right.
You amaze me. I'm not aware that most of the media is against me.
Well, I guess let me.
Maybe I'm naive, but I'm not aware of that at all.
Well, maybe.
And I don't consider New York Magazine, published by a slime ball, or edited by a slime ball from Spy Magazine, to be representative of the media.
Okay.
It's New York, not New Yorker. New Yorker would never have done what the New York Magazine piece did.
I apologize. That was my error.
And the fact that I have had fun calling Mario Cuomo the Spacim, I don't think is going to turn people of the media off. You think they're so righteous, so sanctimonious, that offends them?
No, I guess maybe the language I chose wasn't as good as I should have, Bob. But I guess my point was, and I'm not trying to be provocative. I'm sort of thinking out loud. Do you think that when you sort of take, I don't mean you personally, but when an individual sort of takes it that one extra step, do you think that?
What's an extra step? What do you mean by an extra step?
What was the term you used for the Mayor Dinkins? Whatever it was.
That's an extra step. How do you define? I mean, don't give me an example. Just define what you consider an extra step.
Well, I guess my definition would be when you go beyond simply making your point and use...
I don't know. This is a radio show, pal. This is not some publication that claims that we are responsible for defining issues and crystallizing public opinion. This is a radio show, and I'm a guy that works on the radio.
Okay.
Don't give me more credit, if that's the proper word, than I deserve. Don't make me more important than what I am.
Well, you have a huge listenership.
Well, that's true, but why do they listen?
I think that they, A, enjoy your show, and B, I think they...
All right, so enjoy the show. Do you have to analyze it?
No, but
I mean, if you go see a movie, do you come home and analyze? Are you married, sir?
No, sir.
All right, well, if you see a movie with a friend, do you sit up and say, why did we like that movie? Let's analyze why we liked it. It's subjective. You either like it or you don't like it. You don't sit home and analyze. You're not, who are they, Ebert and that other guy?
Siskel and Ebert.
Okay. So why do I have to be analyzed over and over again?
Well,
I mean, I don't mind, really, being an egomaniac. I really don't mind.
Right.
I am paid to have people listen to me, and the more people like you dwell on me, the more inclined they are to listen, so that's good.
Okay.
But why give me this much importance?
Well, maybe...
Because I have a large listenership. I already asked that, you already answered, and shame on me for asking the same question again.
No, it was a good question. I just thought the answer the first time was the best I could come up with, but I guess maybe your views are somewhat polarizing.
Polarizing? You know what polarizing means?
I think I do, but since I gave you a definition, you can...
I'll tell you what polarizing is.
All right, sir.
You and I sit down, we start talking, and we find that we have divergent views.
Okay.
Totally inimical views.
Okay.
Now, whose fault is it? Is it my fault? Is it your fault? No, it's nobody's fault.
Right.
That's the way things are in a democracy.
Right.
So you're using a buzzword that the left has used to its own advantage against the right.
Okay.
And that is polarizing. When the left comes up with an opinion, they're never polarizing. But if a right-winger like myself comes up with an opinion, I'm polarizing.
But where does it leave a guy like me? And I'm not trying to sound stupid, but I generally agree with most of what you say.
Well, why do you... You seem... That's the third or fourth time you've talked about agreeing with me as though it's like saying, you know what, I discovered I have a rash. Why do you feel that makes you suspect because you agree with me?
No, I don't think it makes me suspect. I guess to finish my point, as I say, most of your points of view I find myself in agreement with. There's the fifth time, but sometimes when you involve sort of the, I don't know, the...
You don't like the name calling, right?
Yeah, I guess that's a good way of putting it.
All right, good. I'm glad you finally said it. You don't like the name calling. It's your privilege not to like the name calling. It's your privilege, sir. I respect that privilege.
I know you do. I'm just wondering if you think, and I guess not because you continue to engage in it, but do you...
Really? What names have I called today? Outside of Jeffrey Dahmer, a monster. If that's a name, that's certainly appropriate.
No, he is a monster.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
My thought was, do you think that kind of thing...
I don't know. I don't waste time thinking about it, I guess, because I've had a successful career.
Okay.
And have, as you yourself pointed out 5 times, a large audience.
Yeah.
So why second-guess myself? If you're Dan Reeves and you're coaching the New York Giants...
Right.
And the team is winning...
Right.
Why go into the locker room and say, gee, maybe I ought to do something. The team is winning.
Yeah.
You do that if the team is losing. Then you say, maybe I ought to change things.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess.
Well, I tried to avoid that because everybody's using it.
Okay.
But I really, if I spent as much time thinking about the Bob Grant Show as some people do, I'd have no time for fun.
Well, then I guess you ought to stick with the status quo, and I'll keep listening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. Somebody please interpret the previous conversation for me.
I just wanted to take a guess at who the senator or the politician was who said the quote.
I'm listening.
Phil Graham from Texas.
No, the political figure was not Phil Graham from Texas, but that's a good guess.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. I hope there are enough of you there who did hear the quotes that I read given by a political figure. We had one guess, which was Phil Graham just now, and another one, Louis Farrakhan. But if nobody comes up with the answer by 7 o'clock when we slam the lid on things for today, I'll give it to you. Here's Ellie from Suffern. Hello, Ellie.
Yeah. Hi, Bob. Gosh, I missed you last week. And I'd like to take a guess. Is it Ross Perot?
No, Ross Perot did not say that.
Okay, I can't believe I blew
That
my...
made too much sense for Ross Perot to have said that. One way you can tell that it wasn't Ross Perot is it made sense what this gentleman was saying. And Ross Perot is just so full of malarkey. He's too busy trying to snow people. He has no time to make sense.
Well, do you buy into that whole idea that if you eat the hormones from the meat, it...
No.
Okay.
No, that I shouldn't have even read that part of the quote.
That's why I thought it was Ross Perot, because it sounded so bizarre.
Yeah, no. He was just quoting... This gentleman at that juncture was quoting Dick Gregory.
Right.
But let's forget about what Dick Gregory is very bizarre, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Okay. Tony, Bob Grant with you on WABC.
Yeah, Bob, I was going to guess Calvin Butts, but now I heard you said political figure, so I'll take a shot at Moynihan.
No, sir.
No, huh?
Moynihan said something very similar to that, except for the mandatory sterilization program 25, 30 years ago, but no, it was not Pat Moynihan.
Listen, did you get a chance to see Huffington on Larry King last night?
No, I was en route because the plane departure from Miami to Newark was delayed due to inclement weather, so I didn't get in till late. What did I miss?
He's mounting a challenge against Feinstein in California over there.
Oh, Michael Huffington?
Right. Saying that a lot of the absentee ballots that were counted were those of illegal immigrants.
Well, he might be right.
Well, I tell you, he was saying that Dole had written Reno to investigate this, and she sent Huffington a letter saying that there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the California voters have to be legal, citizens. And I listened to it carefully, and that's exactly what he was relaying the story as.
Well, this might go to the Supreme Court. Who knows? But I don't blame Michael Huffington for being suspicious. Don't blame him at all.
Yeah, well, it brings back memories of what was happening with the Dinkins and Giuliani race last year. You know, some of the charges that were made.
Indeed. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Let's try Joe from Nutley. That's in New Jersey. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Bob. Bob, I hope that Nutley is wall-to-wall Bob Grant country. If not, I want to tell you
No, definitely has been proclaimed wall-to-wall Bob Grant country so long ago. You want to know? April 6th, 1974.
That's terrific, because if it wasn't, I want you to know that my house is, and so is my office always. We enjoy you very much. And just to tell you that some of the things that you just went through last week, I think you found out that you have a lot of friends out there, and I'm one of them. And anytime you're in the area, you're welcome in my house anytime. You're one of the good people, Bob.
Thank you, Joe.
I just wanted to take a quick guess. I was here at work, and Bill Bennett.
No, those are all good guesses. Let me congratulate each and every one of you. But, no, it was not Bill Bennett.
Okay. Bob, God bless you, and I'll keep on listening.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Right, bye.
Joe's right about one thing, and that is during my month or 5 weeks of travail, the crucible I went through, I did learn I have more friends than I even hoped I had. Mayor-elect Marion Barry of Washington, D.C., who said, and I quote, "This is going to be a part of my high-priority 100-day plan, figuring out what we do and how we start doing it. I would be for something like Norplant, mandatory Norplant," which, of course, is what I've been calling for years, and in my calling for it have been dubbed have been smeared, have been slandered as a racist. Right, John?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I just want to tell you how much we all support you. And when you were going through this aggravation, I really felt for you. I couldn't get through, and I wanted to wait until the phones, was a little easy to get through to you. So keep up the good work, and, God bless you, Bob. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.
All right, John had the correct answer. It was Marion Barry. I told you would find it difficult to guess who said that. Here's what else he said. When he was asked about low birth rate, Marion Barry said, "It seems to me that when a woman goes to see a physician or community health clinic or wherever she goes, and it is clear that she may have a low birth weight baby, that there ought to be some way to begin to alert the health systems that this is happening." I get the impression now that when a baby has a low birth weight baby, when a lady has a low birth weight baby at DC General, there is nothing in the present process that anybody in the health system knows about it outside of the hospital where they are located. If you don't start taking care of your body when you're pregnant, take care of your body long before. If you don't take care of your body, it'll show up in the pregnancy. Talking about the streets of Washington, D.C. or any other American city, here's something else Marion Barry said. "I was so sad. I saw a young woman, and she was waving my car down on Alabama Avenue. I stopped. And I always do this. 'Hey, Marion Barry, what's up? Hey, what's up?' And she was pregnant. I said, 'How old is she?' She said, 16. She said, you've got, can you lend me $5? And then we talked. She was doing drugs, and she told me, 'I ain't going to lie to you. I really think that I need something to get high. I need some money.' So I talked to her about going someplace. She said she'll think about it. But I knew she wasn't going to. She wouldn't give her name. Ordinarily, they give me their names. I could tell by her attitude that she was going to get high, and the baby is going to be born addicted to drugs. That's a sad situation. And nobody is stopping it. Marion Barry would like to stop it, but they won't listen to him any more than they listen to me."
Good afternoon, Bob Grant. Good to have you back on the air. Hope your vacation was fine. Bob, I'd like to comment on that little troll, that refugee from the set and remake of The Wizard of Oz, none other than the Secretary of Labor, Robert B. Reich. He made a speech on Friday where he said that since the Republicans are going to cut welfare, that he thought it would be only fair to cut corporate welfare. In other words, doing away with hundreds of millions of dollars of corporate tax breaks. And it's just amazing that this guy, who is supposed to be from the high and mighty towers of Harvard, doesn't realize that if you take corporate tax breaks away from big companies, the first thing it's going to do is cause unemployment, which of course would be a good thing for him, because then he'd have many people to stop by those wonderful little re-education, retraining centers that he dreams about. I saw Secretary Benson on one of the Sunday morning programs. I think it was Meet the Press, and when he was queried about this little speech Reich gave, his response was that, well, we had no idea he was going to give this speech, and he didn't really support anything he said. It's turning out, I think that Robert Reich is turning out to be as much of an embarrassment to this administration, if it could have any more embarrassment on the fiscal side, as Jocelyn Elders is an embarrassment on the social health side.
You know, I, at the risk of sounding self-serving, and I am, I would like to get the audio portion of a guest shot I did on the Today Show in February, early February, 1993. I appeared on a program with another talk show host, one of the best in the country, an old friend of mine, Jerry Williams, who is on the air in Boston. And they were asking us our opinion of the Clinton presidency, what our predictions would be. And I said this administration will unravel, and will unravel progressively. And, of course, everybody looked at me like, hey, he's just another right-winger, just another Republican, just hoping against hope. But the fact of the matter is, what you have just said about Robert Reich, Secretary of Labor, Lloyd Benson, Secretary of the Treasury, in public disagreement, is further proof of the unraveling of this administration. Is that not correct, Greg?